We're here at the 17th Street Canal closure stations to commemorate the opening of the 3 structures at the outfall canals. Prior to Katrina, we had no closure structures at the end of the outfall canals to prevent water from Lake Pontchartrain coming back into the city. Now we have 3 of the biggest canal closure and pump stations in the world at each of the outfall canals, and they will prevent water from coming from Lake Pontchartrain and inundating the city.
If we were standing here after Katrina, what would it look like?
So we'd be many feet underwater, and this station extends many feet into the air and actually 35 feet below us. So it offers very robust protection for citizens in New Orleans and Jefferson.
What goes through your mind as you take a look at this facility?
2 things, really. One, I'm in awe every time I come here. The size and the strength of this facility is amazing. And second, a sense of relief and pride knowing that citizens in New Orleans and Jefferson will be better protected, much better protected because of this facility.
We're about to cut the ribbon on finishing the 3 pump stations at the 3 outfall canals for New Orleans. This is a historic occasion. It's been decades in the making, this idea to close off the outfall canals that drain New Orleans and keep the surge from Lake Pontchartrain out of the city, preventing it from flooding the city as what happened during Hurricane Katrina. So the construction effort itself has been several years in the making, and we're about to turn it over to Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority of Louisiana and the City of New Orleans and the Flood Protection Authority East, and federal government's effectively done here. So we're very proud of that, of our work here building these, and now we're happy for the locals to take over, and we know they're going to do a great job.
Thank you for joining us this morning. These barriers that we're here to commemorate are the result of effective collaboration among our federal and state and local partners, including the Army Corps of Engineers, our elected officials, the State of Louisiana, CPRA, the Sewerage and Water Board, the City of New Orleans, and the Parish of Jefferson. On behalf of the Flood Protection Authority, I thank all of you for your partnership and effective communication and collaboration to design and construct these stations and then decide how to effectively manage them. With these barriers now online, the metro area now has the most robust flood defense system it has ever had, and we're thankful for that. I can assure the public that with the Flood Protection Authority operating these structures, the barriers will be properly manned, the barriers will be properly maintained, and when the water comes, they will perform. With that, that completes my opening remarks. I'll ask Commissioner Herb Miller to come up and introduce our guests. Herb is the chair of our Operations Committee and plays a key role in the effective performance of the Flood Protection Authority.
Herb. Before I get to the honored guests, I would also like to just give some recognition to the people who were involved in either building, designing, overseeing the construction. So anybody who's in the audience, and I see several of them who worked on these stations through their construction, just raise your hand and let's give you a round of applause for acknowledgement. I'd also like to mention our honored guests we have here. We have Bob Turner over here. Bob is on loan from us to the Sewerage and Water Board, but he's the chief engineer of our Flood Protection Authority, and we're looking for the opportunity to have him come back with us. I have Jennifer Van Kraken, who is the Jefferson Parish Council member. And in a moment, I'm going to have Mr. Mike Eaney, the Jefferson Parish President, come up here and say a few words. We also have some non-flood management commissioners here. Dawn Hebert. There's Dawn. Eugene Green. Tom Fiske. And Wilmer Heaton. And I would also like to give a special thanks to Derek Bowes, our Chief Administrative Officer, who's done a magnificent job since we appointed him to that position last year, in addition to putting together the staff that's needed to operate and maintain these systems on very short notice. So thank you a lot, Derek. So at this point, I'd like to introduce Parish President Mike Eaney, who wants to say a few words.
We hope in a perfect world, this station never has to get turned on and the lake never gets to +4, and we never have that type of surge in the lake. But drainage throughout this region, as was formerly mentioned, is better today than it's ever been in the history of Southeast Louisiana. Drainage in Jefferson Parish is better today than it's ever been in the history of Jefferson Parish.
As we mark this historic occasion, construction started on this site just over 5 years ago, April of 2013. But this idea of building permanent barriers, permanent canal closures, the outfall canals, is decades in the making. Fits and starts to get to this point. Have to mention the tragic events of Hurricane Katrina that finally drove home to all of us the need to build these barriers. And here we are. So these barriers mark the final completion of all of the federal post-Katrina efforts on the perimeter. We still have work to do on armoring, on SELA, and on mitigation, but the main components of the perimeter are now complete. This effort also marks a historic event in construction. So this contract was a firm fixed price design-build contract, largest ever attempted in federal civil works history. Might sound good in theory to have the same contractor design and build a project to streamline the process. In practice, it is hard. So I want to thank everybody. The JV contractors don't often get called out of these events, but you guys have a lot to be proud of. It's the contracting joint venture who actually built these things. The state team, Ignacio is going to give a few remarks, but they were the prime non-fed sponsor until very recently when Flood Protection Authority East took over. So this is really a team effort. I want to call and highlight the core team who built this. I'm going to pick on one guy as the personal representative of the core efforts. Robert, you could wave your hand. So classic Robert Guillot style. He is hiding as far back in the room as he can. But I'm safe in saying there is not one single individual, federal, state, local, or contractor who delivered these projects. Robert has been the resident engineer out here long before construction started, long before there was a contract. He's still here every single day. Lots of other people came and went. Lots of other people played key roles, but Robert, congratulations. I know you've dreamed of this day. This is a career milestone. Super proud of you. To our partners and friends in Flood Protection Authority East, and as well as the Sewer and Water Board, because you guys have a role in this. We have no doubt that these stations are in good hands. I echo everything you said, President Hassinger. We know you're going to take care of these stations. This is a partnership. Corps is not going anywhere. A major role for us is now done, but we will be here to help continue to advise and assist, work through warranty issues. But just in the nick of time, hurricane season starts tomorrow. And here we are, the pump stations, these are ready to go. The rest of the perimeter is ready to go. Just want to, few comments for the citizens of New Orleans. As we celebrate our 300th anniversary, I'm proud to report to you, happy to report to you, as you've heard some others speak, this area has its greatest level of risk reduction to flooding in its history. Tremendous efforts these last 13 years on everyone's part, federal, state, and local, to deliver these structures and many others in all 5 parishes in the greater New Orleans area. But we still live in a high-risk area. It's a simple matter of fact that the full fury of Mother Nature can overwhelm our system. As great as it is, I think it's probably the best, safest city or the most risk-reduced city structurally in the world, but it is still a very high-risk city. Hydrologically, New Orleans and the surrounding area is effectively an island in the Gulf of Mexico. So there are great benefits in living in this area. You know those, I won't expound on those, but there are also responsibilities. Every citizen has a responsibility. If you live here, you live in a flood-prone area, simple matter of fact. You should all have flood insurance, you all need to watch the weather, and you all need to listen to your elected leaders. Whatever their instructions are, particularly if there's an order to evacuate, you need to heed that. All these structures will reduce risk, but they can't eliminate risk. We still got work to do, like I said. I'm so proud of the New Orleans District and our contractors and our partners, the state and local government. Look forward to working with you. Wrap up a few warranty issues on this project and finish up the several other projects, as well as work with our congressional leadership to get more funding and get more projects, because there's still work to be done in reducing risk in South Louisiana. Thank you.
Working with the Corps is a privilege, and we learn a lot from them, and certainly they maintain open communication with the Flood Protection Authority, so we certainly appreciate that. I do want to mention two other people. Jerry Gillen, where's Jerry? There he is in the back. Jerry Gillen is our Director of Operations, and when we began discussions about the Flood Protection Authority accepting these stations, I told Jerry that and said we'd like you to be in charge of operating them, putting the staffing together and making sure they work. And he hesitated for a split second, but then stepped up to the challenge and said, absolutely, we can do it. The Flood Protection Authority is prepared and ready, and we can ensure that when the water comes, every component of the flood defense system will perform. So thank you for that, Jerry. Next is Ruthie Frierson. Ruthie is with the Ladies in Red, Citizens for One New Orleans. Ruthie was instrumental in the founding of that organization, and as you know, that organization's work led to the reformation of the levee districts in South Louisiana. So Ruthie, part of the success that you see the Flood Protection Authority enjoying today is a result of the work, the hard work of you and your colleagues. So thank you for your support. All right, so next, another key partner in the Flood Protection Authority's success and in providing effective flood defense for the citizens of South Louisiana is the CPRA. And today we're privileged to have the CPRA's Chief of Operations, Ignacio Harouche, here.
On behalf of the state and the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority, I'd like to thank SLEFA East for hosting this ribbon cutting today. You know, as I stand here, I'm extremely proud of what we've accomplished. It has not been an easy project. As you can imagine, it's a very complex project. But, you know, this just shows how the partnering with everyone, all the state, federal, and local officials, what we can do together. Now, I won't say it was easy, but we had a hell of a ride, right? And it's here. And I want to thank everyone that was involved in this project to making it a success. Like Mr. Hassler said, you know, you have to be ready, and we are ready. We're ready to operate these pump stations. These pump stations are the final piece, like Colonel Clancy said, final piece of the HISTRA system. These pump stations have a 51% more pumping capacity than what the interim control structures have. So, you know, to put it in perspective, we have a lot of volume coming down these canals, and we all have to be talking to each other. There's no room for error. Everyone needs to communicate. You know, tomorrow is the day that we start hurricane season. Well, for us, it started last week, okay? Everyone was out enjoying the weekend. We were all working together on Saturday and Sunday to try to understand what we can do better, testing the systems, testing the communication protocols. So that's a big effort, right? It takes a lot of dedication from a lot of people here. And coming together has been a challenge, but we made it. So with that being said, you know, I can't walk off of here without, you know, I'd like for my team to stand up. So it's been a challenge. Harold, Ron, Chantrell, and everybody else that played a role in this. It's taken a toll on my side, and I'm sorry I'm getting like this, but it's been a long 4 years for me. That being said, you know, we leave you a system for the city that nobody else has. And I hope that Sleffy East and everybody can understand what it takes and the hard work that everybody's put in. Thank you.
On behalf of Mayor Cantrell and the Board of Directors of the Sewage and Water Board of New Orleans, we want to thank our partners, the Corps of Engineers, the CPRA, the Flood Authority, and all of the contracted parties that really did an awesome job in getting us to this day. Being here at this facility today is a great accomplishment. It sort of sets the stage. It takes a big step in what the future of flood protection and flood risk reduction is here in the area, but also drainage, and perhaps it's the future of drainage. As the Sewage and Water Board has made significant investments in the past several months. It's not like we haven't been in the news once or twice. We stand here today ready more than ever to provide drainage and power with the recent investments in drainage infrastructure and power infrastructure. As we stand here today, our final turbine 4 out at the Carrollton Water Plant is actually undergoing commissioning that hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have all of our power generation facilities back online and ready to support our drainage facilities. So it's with that through the collaboration of getting us today, working with the Corps of Engineers, working with CPRA, working with the design firms, the contractor, it's been a great experience. As was mentioned, we had a great opportunity this past weekend to do a little bit of a dry run. As early as Wednesday and Thursday of last week, the Sewage and Water Board and the Flood Authority were locked up in conference rooms already, game planning for whatever may have come our way this past weekend, making sure we had all the processes and procedures and things of that nature in place. It went extremely well. Communications was great, collaboration was great, and we stood ready for whatever came towards us this past weekend. Fortunately, it did. So we look forward to this continued endeavor with our local partners and with the Flood Authority as these stations become part of the general state of readiness as we move forward through hurricane season. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Derek Bays. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer for the Flood Authority East. Welcome this morning to our officials, our partners, and all guests. On a personal note, it does seem pretty hard to believe that I'm standing here in this pump station 12 years ago. There's a group of us that were in the Hurricane Protection Office of the Corps of Engineers, Chantrell, Ron, Clyde, that when this thing was only a concept, and we didn't really know what was going to get built, how it was going to happen, who it was going to operate it, and now 12 years later, here we are. Actually all working for different agencies and different places, but we all came together as a team to make this happen. I think that's a pretty cool story. You're sitting in the largest of the 3 most technologically advanced pump stations, not just in Louisiana, but I would argue in the US and in the world. They complete the perimeter system of the Hurricane Storm Damage Risk Reduction System that we operate and maintain. They block the storm surge from the lake while maintaining the rainwater and getting it out of the city. Your fact sheets out there have a lot of amazing information about these. I'll let you peruse those at your leisure. Today I want to talk about the people that we have in the authority that make this thing happen. We have 8 permanent employees that are assigned to these stations, specific skill sets, generators, electrical systems, program controls. They man these stations during a storm when we augment them with additional authority staff to make sure everything runs properly. They live in the safe houses here, so they never leave. I want to highlight a couple of things about these 8 folks. First off, 6 of them are new to the authority. We hired them in the last couple of months. That's a pretty amazing effort to get the right people and the right skills here to operate in that short a time frame. Their experience is beyond par. In fact, Ken and Robert, 2 of them, were on the design build contractor team, and I would argue that who knows the systems best than those folks that designed and built it. Those are the people you have here operating these stations today. Another 2 members of the team, Carl and Craig, we promoted from within the authority. That to me shows the quality of those 2 individuals and the skill sets they bring, but also the quality of employees that we at the authority have. They were up to the challenge to take this on, but also we were confident enough in everybody else's abilities to keep the rest of the system operated and maintained that we could let them come over here. And finally, Jerry Gillen already got pointed out, but Jerry was the one that pulled this team together in an amazingly short amount of time, so kudos to him for that. Finally, I spoke to all the authority employees at an all-hands meeting a couple weeks ago. One of the things I told them was that they should be proud to work for an agency that within a matter of months went from no involvement or virtually no involvement in these stations to owning, staffing, and operating them, all while doing everything else that we do on a daily basis at a very high level. I would argue very few organizations, public or private, could pull that off in the manner that we have, and that's something the authority should be proud of. One last fact about the stations that I wanted to share with you. You can operate the station here, the pumps, in kind of three ways. One is the manual mode, which we hope we don't have to do, where we've got guys out on the floor here during a storm doing it. The other two primary ways, remotely, and then also what we call storm mode. That's the primary way we operate it, and the system is technologically advanced to run it. I like the phrase storm mode because to me that's the perfect way to describe what the authority does when there's a weather event out in the Gulf. We stop everything that we do, we go into storm mode, we check the system, we operate the gates, we talk to our partner agencies, check our supplies, and we get ready. We did that last week for Alberto, and we're ready to do it again here starting tomorrow or whenever the season storm comes here in New Orleans. Thank you. Partnerships to get these pump stations built and in operation today has been nothing short of amazing. The Corps of Engineers, CPRA, Sewage and Water Board, and the Flood Protection Authority East have all really come together to make this happen and keep the people of New Orleans a safer and better place to live.
This facility is going to be operated by SLEFA East. The level of protection that we have here is a 1% level of risk reduction. In reality, this is a increase about 51% of what the current ICS stations are currently rated for. So you got an increase of 51% in pumping capacity, more than what you had before.
This provides much greater level of risk reduction by preventing the surge from entering into those outfall canals. All told, the 3 outfall canals are about 8.5 miles long. So it's 8.5 miles taken off the perimeter, 8.5 miles of levees that could be attacked by surge and Mother Nature. So it's a significant contribution to the hurricane system here and the reduction of risk.
I'm a local resident and I'm a member of the non-flood board. I'm here to celebrate the opening of this facility that I know. I've followed it ever since its conception, and I know it's going to make us a lot safer. I look forward to one day when it's converted to an option 2 system to make us even more safe.
Well, my reaction is that this is just a wonderful event for the entire metropolitan area, particularly on the East Bank, obviously. We've been waiting a long time to get these permanent pump stations in. I think it's going to be a great benefit to Orleans Parish and to some degree Jefferson Parish, because they also drain into the 17th Street Canal. So this is going to be a really good thing. I'm proud of our commission and proud of the Corps of Engineers for what we've been able to accomplish. And I'm looking forward to the opportunity that we hope we never have to turn these stations on.
If people have questions, like more information about the Flood Authority, what should they do?
They should go to our website at floodauthority.org.